Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some malicious compliance stories and our first story of the day is by bunlove136. Don't tell me what color to wear. As I was growing up, my fingernails got the worst end of chewing multiple times daily. They and my cuticles were ragged. My mom had tried many times to break me out of the habit, but it wasn't until I was 14 that I really put my mind to it and tried to stop. It was hit, or should I say bit, or miss for several months. When I had the chewing under control, my mom was really invested into helping me maintain my sobriety. We went shopping and she let me pick out the colors of several bottles of nail polish. This was in the 70s, yeah, I know, way back in the dinosaur era. Vibrant colors had just become popular and I chose pastel shades of blue, green, and yellow. My mom spent a couple of hours on a Sunday giving me a manicure and used the green shade of polish. They were so beautiful and I vowed never to chew my nails again. At this point in time, I was a sophomore in high school. I didn't have many friends and I usually walked the campus alone. A couple of days after my nails had been painted green, I was stopped as I was walking to class by one of the mean girls and her posse. She, mean girl, a senior, said, "I heard you wearing green nail polish, let me see your hands." I timidly held them out, because the rumors about this girl weren't exactly glowing. She looked at my nails and said, "Where did you get the polish and what made you think you could wear it to school?" I told her my mother had bought it for me and there weren't any school rules saying I couldn't. "Well, I didn't say you could and you'd better not wear it again." I was genuinely scared because of her reputation. Who was she to tell me what to do? But I wasn't looking forward to her beating me up either. That night, I said goodnight to my parents, went to my room, and sadly, reluctantly removed the polish. The next day, about halfway through the day, I was again spotted by Mean Girl, as always with her Mean Girl crew. She demanded to see my hands and I told her I wasn't wearing green nail polish. She reached out and grabbed my arm, pulling my hand up. She said, "What did I tell you?" I replied, "You said you didn't want to see the green polish. You never said anything about blue." Mean Girl quickly let go of my arm and I really don't remember what she said. All I knew was I was alive and in one piece. For the remainder of her last year at the high school, she would give me dirty looks but never again spoke to me. If you found yourself in this position, would you call their bluff and show up with the green nail polish or a different color? Or do you think as a kid you'd be the type of person to unfortunately give in to this and take the nail polish off? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Techno Hippie, pissing off an angry substitute teacher with some good old malicious compliance. Here's a fun malicious compliance story from way back in junior year of high school. I had gotten kicked out of my local school, for pot, not really a big deal, and sent to the next high school over to finish the year. Despite being a problem child, I was a pretty good student and was in all honors and advanced placement classes. Because I wasn't driving yet, my mother had to drop me off at school still, and because the school was kind of far away and my younger sister wasn't allowed to be dropped off at her school before a certain time, I was consistently 10 to 15 minutes late to first period. My first period class was AP History. Don't remember which one and it's not really important. The teacher was an awesome dude who was fantastic at his job as an educator and had a great attitude and knew my situation. So his rule for the whole class was, "You're all AP students, you know how to find the information you miss, so the time that OP gets to class is the cutoff time for anyone to get marked late." It was a good rule. It made everyone laugh and it ended up being a great system for others who had to fight morning traffic as well. Fast forward to the endish of the year after AP tests had been conducted. My teacher was one of the teachers who flew to the AP testing headquarters to help grade the tests. He was going to be gone for 2 weeks and told us in the meantime we would have a sub who would just be showing movies and giving us busy work. And when he got back, he had some fun history lessons for us that would make up for the sub and busy work we would have to endure in his absence. Sounds great. On Monday, I roll into class on my typical schedule, not even thinking about who this sub might be. I walk into the room and see that the sub is this awful old witch who had semi-retired but regularly subbed for classes throughout the district. She and I had had some run-in before, and due to my semi-regular wise butt attitude, let's just say she looked pretty excited to give me a hard time. She was in the middle of teaching some busy work, but stopped in the middle to make a big show of berating me in front of the class. Whatever, I could take it. After class, I went up to speak to her to let her know about the situation with traffic, my sister, and the teacher's rule of how I was the last one in the room before people got marked late. And the fact that now that AP testing was over, it really didn't even matter. She said I was just making excuses to be lazy. When I tried to explain that this will happen every day, she just barked at me that I needed to be more responsible and be on time. That if I didn't come with a pass from the office, she would write me up for detention and to get out of the room so she could prepare for the next period. Cue the malicious compliance. The next morning, I wrote a note to the office and had my mom sign it in the car on the way in. Please excuse OP's tardiness to first period. He is late for personal reasons. I wrote the date in pencil and brought it to the office. I told the attendance lady, who was a sweet old woman who knew my mom from working at the district, the situation. She laughed and gave me the late slip. I walked into class even later than I would have been, now closer to the end than the beginning. The witchy old teacher started yelling at me, so I made a big show of slapping the late slip on her desk and causing a ruckus getting to my desk, to laughter all around. This happened every day for the rest of the week and half of week 2. I was using the same note and just changing the date. By the end of week 2, she would just fume at me as I came in with the late slip. I'd since stopped making such a show of coming in the room. The kicker to all this was when my teacher came back the following week, late himself on Monday morning with a big goofy grin on his face. He began by congratulating me for how well I'd pissed off the sub, who he had his own issues with, and told us about how she'd stopped him in the hall to berate him for 10 minutes, after class had started by the way, thus making him late to his own class, about how he was a terrible teacher who had no control over his students, and how I specifically was taking advantage of him. Finished out the year without another late slip or incident, and I'm pretty sure I passed that AP test. Not that it matters because high school is BS and doesn't matter once you're an adult. That very last sentence was a little strongly worded, but it's not untrue. I mean, as long as you have the basic degree, nobody actually cares how well you did in high school as long as you graduated. And even then, you can't actually get much, if anything, with just a high school degree. It's sadly just like a basic foundational checkmark for whether or not you're a red flag or not. This next story is by local anime nerd, Middle School Mischief. I don't know if this counts, but this was kind of a team effort between me and my BFF when I was in middle school. So when I was about 12, my best friend and I started being allowed to go to the mall by ourselves. I had a cell phone, and as long as we stayed together. My BFF had a super strict mother who was way too obsessed with making her a mini adult while letting her other siblings do pretty much whatever they wanted. Well, this was back in the early 2000s where Hot Topic was still dark and scary, but was one of a few places to get anime merchandise. This started a few weeks before my BFF's birthday, and my mom had dropped us off so I could get an idea of what to get BFF for her birthday. So we are walking around Hot Topic and looking at Naruto stuff when I see a graphic t-shirt with her favorite character on it. I say, "Hey BFF, look, you should get this." BFF says, "Oh, I'm not allowed to have graphic t-shirts." I was confused. It was just a t-shirt. It didn't have anything bad on it like some of those political ones. It was a ninja in a silly pose. He didn't even have weapons. "Why aren't you allowed to have t-shirts?" BFF says, "Mom says I have to always dress like I would for work, and graphic t-shirts aren't appropriate." I really don't like my friend's mom and honestly thought that was dumb because we were 12. No one is looking for a 12-year-old to manage their car dealership. We go around the mall the rest of the day, and every time she sees these shirts with our favorite characters on them, I can tell BFF wants them but can't buy them. At one point, I convinced her to text her mom and ask about a cute tank top she wanted with Pikachu on it and told her she could wear it for gym. Nope, big mistake. Her mom flipped. She showed me the texts and, well, they weren't nice. I was furious, and then came the fatal text. "BFF, I forbid you to buy those shirts. You'll look like a slob like OP. Oh, now it was on. So we went home and I was still stewing. We never told BFF's mom that I saw that message, and I didn't dare tell my mom, but I thought about my dad and thought about all the things he has done to tick off people who were rude to him like that with malicious compliance and mischief. Ding! I then remembered the key words in the text. When it came for me to buy a present for my friend, I bought her all of those shirts we had seen and a few more I knew she would love and wrapped them in a gift box. Fast forward to the party, BFF is opening her gift and gets to mine. She opens the box and sees all the shirts and her eyes go wide. Instantly, her mom is ticked. I can see it through her forced smile because I know her mom is far too polite to deny her the gift. I also knew just what to say to get her to not chuck them in the trash immediately after the party. I say my mom and I thought they were adorable and now we match. Now she knew my mom would expect to see them as well. Later when we were away from her mom, we laughed a bit about it and she asked me why I got them. I reminded her that she was forbidden to buy the shirts, not me. For years afterwards, this was our system for getting around her rules. To avoid this getting any longer, here is a quick list of other issues we got around in a similar way, and yes, I either heard her mom say these things or read them through texts. You have too many books, you can't buy anymore. I bought her a gift card to a giant bookshop that no longer exists. You can't buy comic books, they'll rot your brain. Bought her about $50 worth of comics. Dungeons and Dragons is for Satan worshippers, don't you dare buy those books. Cool. Bought her the handbook, a set of dice, and some minis. So yeah, her mom would get super irritated with me, but she also still liked me. I think she likes me, but because she was super religious, didn't like how I was being raised. Because I was a good friend and she thought I was innocent in all her lectures about this stuff. I would never buy her anything that was actually bad, just things that were harmless and made her happy. My dad might have also helped in this as well by buying us our first convention ticket when he heard her mom say those conventions were for freaks and overweight nerds, which he took as a jab at me. I'm not super skinny, but not fat either, and also helped us put our costumes together for the convention because her mom refused. So yeah, it's not that exciting I guess, but I still laugh a little. This kind of reminds me of when I was a little kid, I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I had a friend who was a neighbor down the street, but she was saying she wasn't allowed to play with them because her parents believed they were witchcraft. Same thing goes for Pokemon too, not just the card game but regular games. I never understood that for a long time, especially as a little kid. How could a children's game cardboard little card be witchcraft, you know? I didn't get it as a kid. I straight up didn't even understand what witchcraft was. I was thinking, oh, like Harry Potter? And our final story of the day is by Casey Rose 1792. Make sure shift change is done before they leave? Okay. So before I became a stay-at-home mom, I worked for a casual fast food chain as a cashier. I loved my job there, even if it put me through the ringer on occasion. I had been an evening cashier there longer than any other cashier in that store. I knew the computer in and out. I knew closing lobby procedures like the back of my hand. I knew shift change. I knew how to help morning crew with lobby setup in the morning. I trained any cashier new to the store. This cashier, however, had been a transfer from our store across town. I was told she knew what she was doing. Every day, I would come in, see my store trashed, and then start my shift. She would promptly leave before doing anything. We had to fill our ice machine, clean tables, do a quick sweep, and take out garbages, including bathroom garbages, before shift change was considered done. Not hard, right? Talked to my boss about this. She told me to talk with my cashier. I did. She ignored me. I was told to then not let her leave until shift change was done. Okay. I would show up at 3:30 and nothing would be done. At our store, it was usually slow enough to get tasks done between customers. When I switched to the mornings later, I realized just how simple morning cashiering was in comparison to what I did every night. But for some reason, this cashier refused to do anything until I walked through the door. I started refusing to get on the drawer until I had completed every task shift change required. I would fill ice, I would take out garbages, I would wipe down tables, sweep floors, make sure my drink cooler was fully stocked, and that my drink station was completely clean and stocked before I would even suggest counting my drawer. One night, this particular cashier complained to me that she always had to leave an hour late whenever I came in to relieve her. I told her I wanted to be set up for my shift before I counted myself in. Then my boss pulled me aside and asked me why my morning cashier counterpart was always staying so late. They had to watch overtime and she was frequently getting more than necessary. She told me she had received a complaint about me taking my time before getting on the drawer so she could go home. I laughed. I told her shift change was done before I let her go home, just as my boss had told me to do. She would stand there and chat with coworkers and customers or just groan and complain at me from across the room to hurry up. Did I mention there was a camera recording all of this? Apparently, our patch manager was sending emails about unnecessary overtime to my GM and specifically called out morning cashiers, as my patch manager had actually run our store previous to my current GM and knew what it took to have a clean lobby by 3:30, especially with sales being lower than when she worked there. When my GM realized that this cashier was literally sitting on her butt while I did double the work and was causing our patch manager to breathe down her neck, she promptly had a talk with said rowdy individual. Things got better magically. I'd come in and it wasn't perfect, but ice was usually filled and my drink station was cleaned and stocked. At least my lobby garbages were taken out before I got there. No more OT or lazy cashier. Pretty mundane story, but I thought I'd share. Remembering this brought a smile to my face. I later got promoted up 2 ranks consecutively, managing entire shifts 6 months later. Patch manager took a liking to me, I guess. I think the only disappointing thing about this story was that the cashier did get to sit around for a while and collect all that overtime for doing nothing, just kind of being around while you did your malicious compliance, until they inevitably got caught. And then when they finally got properly called out, they just fixed the problem and they were able to keep all that overtime money and everything. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.